At 6 o'clock in the morning, my front door began to shake. My daughter-in-law was screaming my name, hysterical, as if the house belonged to her. I had changed all the locks the night before. Minutes later, my son arrived with a sledgehammer in his hand. "I'm coming in anyway." But just as he raised his arm to strike, a voice behind me said simply, "Let him be. I'll handle this." The door opened, and what they saw on the other side left them pale. The pounding echoed like war drums. Each blow shook not just the wood of the entryway, but something deep inside my chest. Jennifer, my daughter-in-law, was screaming in that shrill voice I knew all too well. "Margaret, open this damn door. Who do you think you are? This house is as much mine as it is yours." I stood on the other side, barefoot on the cold hardwood floors of my living room, my heart beating so hard I could feel the pulse in my temples. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something worse. Rage contained for 3 months. Rage that had fermented in silence until it turned into something cold and calculated. I looked at the wall clock, the one my late husband Robert had bought in Switzerland 30 years ago. It was 6:07 in the morning. Mr. Sterling, my attorney, would arrive in 20 minutes. I just had to hold on. "Mom?" Now it was the voice of Christopher, my son, my only son. "I know you're in there. Open up right now." I heard a different sound, metallic, heavy, and then his voice, but with a tone I had never heard before. "I'm coming in anyway, with or without a door." I peeked through the peephole. Christopher was holding a sledgehammer, the kind used in construction. His eyes were bloodshot. Jennifer, by his side, had her arms crossed and a twisted smile on her lips, a smile of anticipated victory. I felt my legs go weak. Was this how it all ended? My son, the baby I nursed, the boy I cared for when he had pneumonia at 7 years old, the young man I helped pay for his first car. Was he going to break down my door? Then, a deep voice resonated behind me. "Let him be. I'll handle this." I turned my head. Mr. Benjamin Sterling was standing in the hallway in his impeccable gray suit, a leather briefcase in his hand. He had arrived early, much earlier than agreed. "How did you get in?" I whispered. "Through the back door, Mrs. Margaret, just as you instructed last night." He looked at me with those calm eyes that conveyed authority. "Open it for them. It is time they see what they have lost." My hand went to the deadbolt. I slid it back slowly. I turned the knob. The door opened. And the moment Christopher and Jennifer saw Mr. Sterling standing there, with his imposing presence and steely gaze, the sledgehammer fell to the floor with a dull thud. The two of them went pale. Literally. As if they had seen a ghost, because they knew exactly who this man was. And they knew their plan had just crumbled. But before I tell you how I ended up changing the locks of my own house to protect myself from my son, I need you to understand something. I wasn't always this woman. The Margaret who opened that door with steady hands didn't exist 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was someone else. A fool. Naive. A mother who believed that love could conquer all. If you want to know how a 68-year-old woman went from being the perfect victim to slamming the door in her own family's face, subscribe to this channel. Because what comes next will change the way you view a mother's love forever. Mr. Sterling didn't smile. He didn't need to. His mere presence was enough to shift the entire energy of that threshold. He took a step forward, standing right beside me, and spoke with that voice that had terrified dozens of scammers in the courtroom. "Good morning, Christopher, Jennifer." He paused deliberately. "I regret to inform you that you no longer have legal authority to enter this property without the express consent of the owner." Jennifer was the first to react. Her face went from pale to bright red in a matter of seconds. "Who the hell do you think you are? We live here. We have rights." The attorney opened his briefcase with infuriating calm. He pulled out a thick manila folder and extracted several documents. The sound of the paper was the only thing heard besides my son's heavy breathing. "I am Attorney Benjamin Sterling, State Notary Public. And these," he lifted the papers, "are documents certifying that, as of 11:45 last night, March 15th, this property located at 328 Maple Drive, Oakwood Suburbs, was transferred into an irrevocable trust in the name of Mrs. Margaret Elizabeth Sullivan, widow of Evans." Christopher finally found his voice. It sounded broken, desperate. Mom, what did you do? I looked at him. I really looked at him. And in that moment, I saw the scared little boy who used to hide behind me when his father scolded him. But I also saw the man who, 2 weeks ago, had told his wife that I had already lived long enough. What I should have done 3 months ago, Christopher. Protect myself. Jennifer let out a hysterical laugh. Protect yourself. But we take care of you. We keep you company. Without us, you'd be alone, dying in this huge house. Mr. Sterling interrupted her without raising his voice. Ma'am, I suggest you watch your words. Everything you say at this moment can and will be used against you if Mrs. Margaret decides to proceed legally. Legally? Christopher took a step forward. But I invested in this house. I paid for the roof repair. I put money in for the new HVAC system. This house is as much mine as it is hers. There it was. The lie he had been feeding for 3 months. The lie he had repeated to me so many times I almost believed it. The attorney smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Oh, really? Interesting. Because according to the bank records Mrs. Margaret provided me, the roof was repaired in August of last year with $12,000 that she withdrew from her personal savings account. The new furnace and air conditioning unit were installed in October, also paid for by her, totaling $8,000. Would you like me to continue? Christopher opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He looked like a fish out of water. Jennifer changed tactics. She brought her hands to her chest, and tears began to roll down her cheeks. Tears she had perfected over these 3 months. Mother-in-law, Margaret, I don't understand. We are family. How could you do this to us? After everything we've shared? Something broke inside me. But it wasn't my heart. It was the last chain of guilt binding me to this farce. Family? My voice came out stronger than I expected. You talk to me about family, Jennifer? The same family that sold my late husband's fine china for $1,000? The same family that conned me out of $15,000, lying about an illness to pay for a nose job? Her face fell apart. The tears kept falling, but now they were tears of panic. I was sick. The doctors at the Hillside Cosmetic Surgery Center, right? The attorney pulled out another document. I have the receipt here. Rhinoplasty and aesthetic reconstruction. $15,000, paid on January 18th, 3 days after you received the money from Mrs. Margaret. Christopher turned toward his wife with an expression I had never seen on him. Confusion, anger, fear. Is that true? Jennifer took a step back. You knew that. Christopher, don't make me look bad. I knew? My son's voice went up 3 octaves. I knew you stole from my mother? There was the crack, the first fissure in their perfect alliance. The lawyer seized the moment. You have 48 hours to completely vacate this property. You may take your personal belongings, clothing, electronics that you can prove are yours, and nothing else. Any item belonging to Mrs. Margaret that is removed without authorization will be considered theft, and we will proceed legally. You can't kick us out, Jennifer screamed. We have children, Noah and Emma. Where are we going to live? For the first time in the conversation, the attorney seemed genuinely annoyed. Perhaps you should have thought of that before planning to put those children's grandmother in a cheap state facility so you could sell her house and buy a condo in downtown. The silence that followed was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Christopher looked at me. His eyes were glassy. How do you know that? I reached into the pocket of my robe and pulled out a small digital recorder, the one my neighbor Patricia had taught me to use. I placed it in the palm of my hand and pressed play. Jennifer's voice came out clear, sharp, unmistakable. It's almost done, babe. Just a few more months, and we convince her to sign the house over to you. She's old, lonely. She needs us. Afterward, we can put her in that cheap nursing home and sell this property. It's worth easily $800,000. That's enough for the condo in the city we want. And then Christopher's voice. You're right. My mom has already lived enough. We deserve this house. I stopped the recording. Christopher fell to his knees on the front step. Literally, his legs wouldn't hold him anymore. Mom, I didn't mean. Yes, you did, I said with a calmness that surprised even me. You said it. You thought it. And you were going to do it. Jennifer regained her composure with impressive speed. She pointed a finger at Christopher. This was his idea. I just went along with his plan. He convinced me of everything. And right there, before my eyes, I watched them destroy each other. Christopher jumped up and got in her face. What? You were the one who said my mother was a burden. You were the one who wanted the luxury apartment. The attorney snapped his briefcase shut with a dry click. Folks, your marital problems are none of my business. What is my business is informing you that you have until Wednesday, March 17th, at 6 p.m. to vacate this property. If you do not do so voluntarily, we will proceed with a legal eviction. Have a nice day. He turned and walked into the house. I followed him. And before closing the door, I looked one last time at Christopher. My son, my only son, was weeping silently on the step of the house where I raised him. And I felt nothing. Well, no, that is a lie. I felt relief. I closed the door and slid the bolt. Mr. Sterling looked at me from the hallway. Are you all right, Mrs. Margaret? I nodded slowly. Then I sat in the armchair in the living room, the one where Robert used to read me poetry on Sunday afternoons, and for the first time in 3 months, I took a deep breath. But you must be wondering, how did it all get to this point? How does a mother reach the point of recording her own son and planning his eviction? To understand that, I have to take you back 3 months, to the day I opened the door of my house and let in not just my son and his family, but my own destruction. It was a Tuesday, December 12th. I remember because that day I had gone early to the farmer's market to buy fresh poinsettias for the holidays. The clock had just struck 11 in the morning when my phone rang. Mom? Christopher's voice sounded strange, dull. Son, what happened? Are you okay? I need to talk to you. Can I come over? It's urgent. My heart skipped a beat. When a child says something is urgent, a mother imagines the worst. Accidents, illness, death. Of course, sweetheart. Come whenever you want. Do you want me to make some lunch? No, Mom. I need to speak with you. He hung up before I could say anything else. He arrived at 2 in the afternoon. He wasn't alone. Jennifer was with him. And behind them, Noah and Emma were carrying large backpacks that looked ready to burst. Hi, Grandma, Jennifer said with that smile I then believed was genuine. Sorry for coming without notice. No, don't worry. Come in. Do you want water? Coffee? The kids ran out to the backyard. Noah was 12 and Emma was 9. Good kids, always polite, though lately, I saw them less and less. Christopher sat on the sofa and ran his hands over his face. That gesture he had made since he was a boy when he was nervous. Mom, we lost the apartment. The words fell like stones into a well. What do you mean you lost it? Jennifer sat next to him and took his hand. At that moment I thought, how good that they have each other in difficult times. How stupid I was. We had problems with the bank, Christopher explained without looking me in the eye. We couldn't pay the mortgage for 3 months and, well, they foreclosed. They gave us 2 weeks to get out. I brought my hand to my chest. My son, my Christopher, homeless. But why didn't you tell me sooner? I could have helped. We didn't want to worry you, mother-in-law. Jennifer intervened with a sweet voice. You have already done so much for us. We didn't want to be a burden. You are never a burden. You are my family. Christopher finally looked at me. His eyes were red. Mom, I need to ask you a huge favor. The biggest I've ever asked in my life. Anything, son. Whatever you need. Can we stay here? Just temporarily. While we find another place. Maybe 2 or 3 months max. My house had 4 bedrooms. Since Robert died 5 years ago, I lived alone in this huge space that suddenly felt too big, too quiet. The idea of having my family close, of hearing children's laughter, of cooking for more than one person. Of course you can stay, as long as you need. Jennifer jumped up and hugged me. She smelled of expensive perfume. Too expensive for someone who had just lost their home. Thank you, Grandma. You don't know how much this means to us. The kids shouted with joy when they were told they would be staying with Grandma. Emma ran to me and hugged my waist. Can I stay in the room with the glow-in-the-dark stars, Grandma? It was the room Robert had decorated for when Christopher was little. He had stuck decals that glowed in the dark on the ceiling. My granddaughter remembered them from the few times they had come to visit. Of course, my darling. That same afternoon, they started bringing their things. Boxes. Many boxes. More than could fit in an SUV. Christopher had rented a small moving truck. Is all this necessary? I asked, seeing the amount of stuff. It's just that we don't know how long we'll be here, Mom. We prefer to have everything on hand. It made sense. Or at least, that's what I thought. The first week was pleasant. I cooked for everyone. The kids did their homework at the dining table. Christopher went out early to look for work. Jennifer stayed home. She said it was to take care of the kids, although they were old enough not to need a babysitter. But there were little things. Things I ignored at the moment. Jennifer moved the living room furniture to make more space. Robert's armchair, the one where he spent hours reading, ended up cornered in the garage. It's just very worn out, mother-in-law. It looks ugly there. She changed the bathroom towels for new ones she bought. Mine, embroidered by hand by my mother, she packed away in a box. These are more modern. You have to update yourself, Grandma. She started cooking too. But not food I liked. Different food, with spices I had never used. And when I tried to cook something traditional, she would sigh. Oh, Grandma, so much fat isn't good for anyone. One day, 2 weeks after they arrived, I came down for breakfast and found that the dining room curtains were gone. Where are the curtains? I asked. Jennifer was making a smoothie in the blender. She didn't even turn around. I took them down. They blocked the natural light. Your house was very dark, mother-in-law. It needed clarity. Those curtains. I had sewn them myself. It took me 3 weeks to finish them. They had a design of embroidered birds that my mother taught me to make. But I liked those curtains. They were very old, Grandma. It was time for a change. Christopher walked in at that moment and kissed Jennifer on the cheek. Good morning, Mom. Sleep well? Son, did you see that Jennifer took down the dining room curtains? Oh, yeah. Looks better like this, right? More light. But I made them. It took me a long time. Christopher poured himself coffee with a distracted smile. Mom, don't be so sentimental. They're just curtains. Jennifer has good taste. You should trust her more. I stayed silent. Standing in the kitchen of my own house, feeling that somehow I was the one out of place. You're right, I finally said. Just curtains. Jennifer smiled at me. That smile I still believed was kind. That's how I like it, mother-in-law. Being flexible. Change is good. That night, lying in my bed, I stared at the ceiling and thought of Robert, how he always said, Margaret, you are too good. Someday someone is going to take advantage of that. But this was different, right? It was my family, my son, my grandchildren. They couldn't be taking advantage of me. Could they? What I didn't know at that moment was that the curtains were just the beginning. Jennifer hadn't come to my house to stay temporarily. She had come to turn it into hers. And every day that passed, I disappeared a little more, until there was almost nothing left of me. The real change began in the 3rd week. Jennifer walked into my bedroom without knocking. I was folding laundry when I saw her standing in the doorway with that expression I was starting to know too well. Determination disguised as concern. Mother-in-law, we need to talk about this room. My room? What's wrong with it? She walked in and paced around, touching things. The antique mahogany dresser, the gold-framed mirror, my wedding photograph on the wall. It's very cluttered, very heavy. It's not healthy for you to have so much clutter. I looked around. My room wasn't cluttered. Every single thing was in its place. Every object had a story. It's not cluttered, Jennifer. It's lived in. That is exactly the problem. She sat on my bed as if it were hers. You live in the past, surrounded by things of your husband who is no longer here. It's not healthy. You need to let go, move forward. Her words stung like a slap. Robert was my husband for 42 years. I am not going to let go of his memories. I'm not asking you to forget them, Grandma, just to store them, to make space for the present, for us. The next day, while I had gone to church, Jennifer organized the living room. When I returned, the photographs of Robert that were on the mantel had disappeared. In their place were some scented candles and an artificial plant. Where are Robert's photos? I stored them in a box in your closet, mother-in-law. That way they are more protected from the dust. I don't want them protected from the dust. I want to see them. Jennifer sighed with that exaggerated patience one uses with small children. Grandma, you can't turn your house into a shrine. Your husband rests in peace. You need to live. I went to my closet. I found the box, but not all the photos were there. My favorite was missing. Robert and I in Hawaii, on our honeymoon. He was carrying me in his arms while the waves washed over our feet. Jennifer, a photo is missing. Which one? The one in the silver frame. Oh, that one. It fell and the glass broke. I threw it away. You threw it away? The frame was rusty anyway. Mother-in-law. It was no good. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not the frame. Me. That night Christopher arrived late. I waited up for him. Son, I need to talk to you. Mom, I'm tired. Can it be tomorrow? No. It has to be now. He dropped onto the sofa with a sigh of annoyance. Okay. What is it? Jennifer is throwing away your father's things. She changed the whole house. And I feel like a stranger in my own home. Christopher didn't even look me in the eye. He kept staring at his phone. Mom, Jennifer is just trying to help. This house was very neglected, very outdated. It is my house, Christopher. And I liked how it was. Well, maybe you needed someone to show you that there are other ways to live. He finally looked up. You know what your problem is, Mom? You cling too much to the past. Dad died 5 years ago. It's time you moved on. His words pierced me like knives. Moving on means forgetting your father? It means stop living in a museum. He stood up. Jennifer is trying to modernize things. You should be grateful that someone cares about you. And he went to sleep. I sat in the darkness of the living room with Jennifer's scented candles filling the air with a smell that wasn't my home, and for the first time since they moved in, I cried. But the worst was yet to come. 1 week later, Jennifer walked into the kitchen with a huge smile. Mother-in-law, I have wonderful news. I hired a deep cleaning service. They are coming tomorrow to leave everything spotless. Cleaning service? But I clean the house. Oh, Grandma, with all due respect, you clean the old-fashioned way. We need professional disinfection. Don't worry, I'll pay. The next day, 3 people arrived with uniforms and industrial cleaning products. Jennifer directed them like a war general. Those furniture pieces in the garage, take them to the trash. Those boxes there too. And that old display cabinet, please, take it out. Wait! I ran towards them. That cabinet belonged to my grandmother. You can't throw it away. It's full of termites. Mother-in-law. It's a nest of bugs. I don't care. It's from my family. Jennifer made a gesture of exasperation. Fine, we leave it. But at least let them take out all that old junk from the garage. I didn't pay attention to exactly what they took from the garage. Fatal error. 2 days later, I looked for Robert's vinyl record collection, the jazz albums he had collected for 30 years, the ones we played on Sunday afternoons while he held me in the kitchen and sang in my ear. They weren't there. Jennifer, where are Robert's records? The records? Oh, Grandma, the cleaners threw those away. They were scratched. Some couldn't even be listened to. They threw them away? Yes, but don't worry. Now there is Spotify. You can listen to any song you want. I sat on the garage floor, right there, where Robert's armchair once was, where his records once were, our life. And I wept like I hadn't wept since his funeral. Jennifer appeared in the doorway. Oh, mother-in-law, don't be so dramatic. They are just things, just objects. But they weren't just objects. They were pieces of my life, pieces of Robert, pieces of me. And she was throwing them in the trash, one by one. That night I told Patricia, my lifelong neighbor. She was 72, and a widow like me. We sat in her garden with herbal tea. Margaret, that woman is erasing you, she said with her characteristic frankness. She is erasing your history to write hers. But she is my daughter-in-law, my son's wife. And that makes her more dangerous, because she comes with a family label. And you, out of respect for your son, tolerate what you wouldn't take from a stranger. Her words kept spinning in my head all night. The next day, Jennifer painted the living room, without warning, without asking. When I arrived from the store, the walls that had been peach-colored for 20 years were now dark gray. Do you like it? She asked with pride. It's the trendy color. It looks very elegant. I chose that peach with Robert. We spent a whole weekend painting together. Well, now it's gray. Peach was out of style, mother-in-law. You have to update. Christopher arrived and applauded. Wow, it looks incredible, babe. Very modern. Your mother isn't happy, Jennifer said with a victim's voice. Christopher looked at me with disappointment. Mom, really? Jennifer is making an effort to improve the house, and you just complain. I didn't ask for it to be improved. I liked it how it was. Well, nobody else liked it. It was depressing. That word, depressing. As if my life with Robert had been depressing. I went to my room without dinner. And that night, lying in the dark, I realized something terrible. I no longer recognized my own house. The walls, the furniture, the smells, everything was different. Everything was Jennifer's, and I was becoming a tenant in my own home. But if they thought losing my memories was the worst thing Jennifer did to me, they were wrong. Because what came next wasn't just stealing objects, it was stealing something much more valuable. And when I discovered it, I understood that my daughter-in-law wasn't just manipulative, she was a thief. And my son, my own son, knew it. It was a Thursday afternoon, January 18th. I remember the exact date because it would have been Robert's birthday. I always put fresh flowers by his photograph that day, but his photograph wasn't in the living room anymore. It was stored in a box in my closet. I went down to the kitchen to make myself some tea. I needed something to calm me down. I had slept poorly the last few days. Nightmares where my house became smaller and smaller, and I couldn't find the exit. Jennifer was in the dining room with her laptop open. She was talking on the phone with someone. Yes, I still have it. It is authentic fine china. Vintage, it has 24-karat gold details. A pause. No, it is not stolen. It is from my family. Another pause. $800 is too little. It's worth at least $2,000. I approached. On her laptop screen were photographs of my china, the porcelain set Robert gave me for our 30th anniversary. He had bought it on a business trip. He had saved for months to pay for it. Every plate had hand-painted cherry blossoms. Every cup had a gold rim. The complete set. 12 soup bowls, 12 dinner plates, 12 cups with their saucers. We never used it. It was too valuable. I kept it in the dining room cabinet just to admire it. Jennifer. My voice came out trembling. What are you doing? She looked up with a calm smile. Too calm. Oh, Grandma. I am selling the china. Selling? My china? Well, technically it is in your house, but nobody uses it. It is just gathering dust, and we need the money urgently. I felt the floor move beneath my feet. Robert gave me that china. It is not for sale. Grandma, be reasonable. They are just plates, and we are in a very difficult situation. Christopher hasn't found work. The kids need new school supplies. The rent for the storage unit where we keep our things is due next week, and we don't have the money to pay it. And for that, you are going to sell my things? They are not just your things, mother-in-law. We are family. What is yours is ours. That is how families work. My hands were shaking. My heart beat so fast I felt the pulse in my ears. Cancel that sale. Now. Jennifer closed the laptop with a dramatic sigh. You know what your problem is, Grandma? You are selfish. We take you in. We take care of you. We keep you company so you aren't alone in this huge house. And you aren't capable of helping us when we need it most. What are you going to do with those plates? Look at them until you die? Her words hit me like punches. It is not selfishness. It is my history. It is what Robert left me. Robert is dead. Mother-in-law. The dead don't need dishes. The living need money to eat. At that moment, Christopher walked in. He came with a bag of pastries. What's wrong? I can hear yelling from outside. Your mother doesn't want us to sell the china, Jennifer said with the voice of a scolded child. She prefers her grandchildren to go hungry rather than part with some old plates. Christopher looked at me with that expression that broke my soul. Disappointment, exhaustion, annoyance. Mom, seriously, you're going to make a drama over some plates? They aren't just plates. They are the anniversary gift your father gave me. And I am sure Dad would prefer his grandchildren to eat rather than having plates stored away that nobody uses. He approached Jennifer and put a hand on her shoulder. Sell the china, babe. My mom will understand. I will not understand. You have no right. Jennifer stood up with tears in her eyes. Perfect tears that rolled right down the center of her cheeks without ruining her makeup. You know what, Grandma? You're right. We have no right to anything. We are just a burden to you. Christopher, you heard your mother. We aren't welcome here. Better we pack our things and go to the street. Whatever. What does it matter if the kids sleep in a shelter? At least the mother-in-law's china will be safe. Babe, don't say that. Christopher hugged her and looked at me harshly. Mom, do you see what you're doing? Do you see how you hurt her? I couldn't believe it. Somehow I was the villain of the story. Christopher, that china is worth a lot to me. Well, to us, it's worth being able to eat, my son shouted. He had never shouted at me like that. But don't worry, Mom. We won't touch your precious china. We won't touch anything. In fact, we better go so you can live alone with your memories and your things without anyone bothering you. He started walking toward the stairs. Jennifer followed him, sobbing. The kids appeared in the hallway with scared faces. What's wrong, Dad? Noah asked with a small voice. Nothing, son. We are going to pack. Your grandmother wants us to leave. I didn't say that, I screamed. But no one listened to me. 2 hours passed, 2 hours in which I heard movement upstairs. Boxes dragging, doors closing, Emma's soft crying, and me, sitting in the kitchen, with trembling hands on the table, wondering how I had reached this point. Finally, Christopher came down. Alone. Jennifer is upstairs packing suitcases. The kids are confused and scared. I hope you are proud of yourself. Christopher, I only asked that you not sell your father's china. And what did you want us to do, Mom? Beg in the street? Stop eating? He sat in front of me with glassy eyes. I thought you were different. I thought you would understand. But it turns out you are like all the selfish old women who only think about their things and not their family. Those words. Selfish old women. My own son. Okay, I whispered. Sell the china. What? Let her sell it. If that is what you need, let her sell it. Christopher blinked, surprised. Then his face softened, and he took my hands. Mom, I knew you would understand. Thank you, thank you. I promise you that when I have a job, I'll buy you another set just like it. He ran up the stairs shouting, Babe, my mom said yes, we can stay. That night, lying in my bed, I looked at the empty cabinet in the dining room. Jennifer had packed the china immediately, as if she was afraid I would change my mind. $5,000 that china was worth. I know because when Robert died, an appraiser came to do an inventory for the will. $5,000 in memories, in love, in years of marriage. And my daughter-in-law was going to sell it for $1,000. The next day, Jennifer left early. She returned 6 hours later with bags of new clothes, brand-name jeans, designer blouses, expensive shoes. Did you manage to sell the china? I asked. Yes, mother-in-law. Thank goodness. With this, we could pay the storage unit rent. But the bags in her hands told another story. Jennifer, those bags. Oh, this. I found some incredible sales. Buy one, get one free. I couldn't resist. You bought clothes with the money from my china? Not all the clothes. I also paid the rent. And I bought supplies for the kids. And, well, I deserve to treat myself. Don't you think? I've been very stressed. She went to her room whistling a song. And I stayed there, standing in my dark gray living room, with my bare walls, with my empty cabinet, finally understanding the truth. They hadn't come to stay temporarily. They had come to keep everything. But if they thought stealing my memories and belongings was enough to destroy me, they were wrong, because Jennifer had a much more elaborate plan, a plan that involved lies, fake hospitals, and $15,000 that I was going to give her voluntarily. Because when a snake identifies its prey, it doesn't stop until it devours it completely. 2 weeks after the China incident, Jennifer began acting strange, stranger than normal. She got up late. She walked around the house with a hand on her forehead, sighing deeply. She left her food halfway finished, saying she had no appetite. And every time someone asked her what was wrong, she responded with a dramatic, "Nothing, nothing, I'll be fine." But she said it in that way that screams, "Ask me more, please ask me." It was Emma who finally fell into the trap. "Mom, are you sick?" Jennifer brought her hand to her chest and her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to worry you, my love. I have some weird symptoms, but it's nothing serious, surely. Christopher stood up from the table, alarmed. What kind of symptoms? Dizziness, nausea, and, well, I've been bleeding a little. She lowered her voice as if it were a terrible secret. From places I shouldn't. My heart skipped a beat. Despite everything, I didn't wish harm on anyone, much less a serious illness. Jennifer, you have to go to the doctor, I said immediately. I can't, Grandma. We don't have health insurance now that we lost our jobs. And a private consultation with a specialist costs a fortune. It doesn't matter what it costs. Your health is more important. Jennifer looked at me with those big, bright eyes, as if I were her savior. Really, mother-in-law, you would help us with that? Of course. Tomorrow we make an appointment. That night I heard Christopher and Jennifer talking in their room. Their voices came through the crack in the door. I told you it would work, whispered Jennifer. Your mother has a bleeding heart. You just need to scare her a little. I couldn't hear Christopher's answer, but I didn't want to believe it either. Surely I had misunderstood. The next day, Jennifer showed me the name of a clinic, Street Luke's Specialized Medical Center. It sounded prestigious, expensive. Dr. Melgar is the best oncologist in the city, she said with a trembling voice. But his consultations cost $300. It's okay, I'll pay. I accompanied her to the appointment. But when we arrived, she asked me to wait outside. Mother-in-law, they are very intimate studies. I'm embarrassed for you to be there. Do you mind waiting in the lobby? Of course not, daughter. Go ahead. I waited 2 hours. 2 hours looking at old magazines in an impeccable waiting room with marble floors and expensive ornamental plants. When she came out, her eyes were red from crying. What did the doctor say? I asked, jumping up. I need tests. Many tests. MRI, CT scan, specialized blood work. Her voice broke. And a biopsy. Oh my God. They don't know yet. That's why they need the tests. But the doctor said the faster we do them, the better. She took my hands. Grandma, I know it's a lot to ask. I know we have already abused your generosity. But I'm scared. Very scared. How much do the tests cost? $15,000. She said the figure as if it were a death sentence. It is a lot of money. Too much. We have no way to pay it. Maybe I can wait a few months until Christopher gets a job. You can't wait if it's something serious. Let's go to the bank right now. Jennifer hugged me so tight I could almost not breathe. Thank you, mother-in-law. Thank you. You don't know what this means to me, to my children. We went to the bank that same afternoon. I sold some stocks I had held onto for years, meant for a rainy day. Stocks worth more than $15,000. But I sold them fast, without thinking, because a human life is worth more than any investment. I handed the money to Jennifer in a cashier's check. God bless you, daughter. And may everything turn out well. She cried in my arms. Tears I then believed were genuine. During the next 2 weeks, Jennifer went out early to do the tests. She returned tired, pale, with stories of needles and machines and worried doctors. Do you have results yet? I asked every day. Not yet, Grandma. They are very complex tests. It takes time. The kids were scared. Noah asked me one night, Grandma, is my mom going to die? No, my darling. Your mom is going to be fine. The doctors are going to cure her. But inside, I was scared too. And then that Tuesday arrived. February 5th. I went to the mall to buy winter socks. I bumped into Patricia, my neighbor, coming out of Macy's. Hey, Margaret, I saw your daughter-in-law the other day at the Oakbrook Center. She looked very good, very pretty. When did you see her? Last Friday. She was leaving a clinic. One of those fancy ones. Cosmetic surgery. The world stopped. Cosmetic surgery? Yes, the Hillside Clinic. My niece works there as a receptionist. She told me your daughter-in-law got her nose done. It turned out very nice, by the way. I arrived home with the shopping bags trembling in my hands. Jennifer was in the living room watching television, eating popcorn, with her new nose. It was subtle, but now that I knew, I could see it. The tip a little more upturned, the bridge finer. Jennifer, can I talk to you? Sure, Grandma. What's up? I ran into Patricia at the mall. Her face didn't change. Not a muscle. Oh, how nice. How is she? Good. She told me she saw you leaving the hillside clinic. Silence. The cosmetic surgery clinic, I continued with a trembling voice. Last Friday, the day you were supposedly getting the MRI. Jennifer left the bowl of popcorn on the table, slowly, carefully. Mother-in-law, can I explain? Explain what? My voice came out higher than I intended. Explain that you lied to me? That you conned me out of $15,000 with an invented illness? I didn't invent anything. I did feel bad. You got a nose job. With my money. She stood up from the sofa with that speed that scared me. And so what if I did? What is the problem? I also deserve to feel good about myself. Not everything is about you and your needs. It was my money. Money I gave because I believed you were sick. I was sick. Sick with insecurity. Sick with low self-esteem. She touched her nose with pride. This surgery saved my life as much as any cancer treatment. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the nerve. I want my money back. Jennifer let out a laugh. A cold laugh that froze my blood. Your money? Grandma, you gave it to me. It was a gift. No returns. It was not a gift. It was for your medical treatment. And I used it for medical treatment. Reconstructive surgery. It's the same thing. At that moment, Christopher walked in. He was wearing a restaurant uniform. He had finally gotten a job as a waiter. What is going on here? I can hear yelling from the street. Your mother is harassing me, said Jennifer with the voice of a perfect victim. She is claiming I used the money she gave me for a surgery I needed. A surgery you needed? I turned to my son. Christopher, she lied to me. She told me she had cancer. She got $15,000 out of me to operate on her nose. I expected my son to take my side, to be indignant, to confront her. But instead, he sighed with exhaustion. Mom, we already knew Jennifer was going to operate on her nose. The floor disappeared beneath my feet. What? It bothered her a lot. She had wanted to fix it for years. I told her to take advantage since you offered the money. I didn't offer money for cosmetic surgery. I offered money because I believed she was sick. Christopher approached and spoke to me as if I were a small child. Mom, does it really matter what the money was used for? At the end of the day, you helped your daughter-in-law feel better about herself. You should be proud. Proud? You lied to me. We didn't lie to you. We simply didn't give you all the details. He shrugged. Besides, what were you going to do with those $15,000? Keep them until you die? At least now they served for something useful. Jennifer crossed her arms with a satisfied smile. If I were you, I wouldn't make such a scandal, mother-in-law, unless you want us to leave. Because if we continue arguing like this, it's going to be impossible to live under the same roof. It was a threat, disguised as concern, but a threat nonetheless. And the worst part is that it worked, because the idea of being left alone again, of returning to the silence of this empty house, terrified me more than losing money. Okay, I whispered. Forget it. That's how I like it, Mom. Christopher patted my shoulder. Tomorrow everything will be better. You'll see. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling how every piece of me was crumbling. My china, my memories, my money, my dignity, what was left? And more importantly, how far would they go before I disappeared completely? But what I didn't know was that Jennifer and Christopher weren't going to settle for $15,000, nor for my belongings, nor for my house renovated to their taste. No, they wanted everything. And I was about to discover exactly how far they were willing to go to get it. Because one night I went down for a glass of water, and I heard a conversation that would change my life forever. It was February 22nd, 2:37 in the morning. I know because I looked at the clock before getting up. My throat was dry, that kind of dryness that wakes you up and won't let you go back to sleep until you drink water. I put on my robe and went down the stairs slowly. The wooden steps creak at night, and I didn't want to wake anyone. The house was dark, except for the moonlight coming through the hallway window. I was halfway to the kitchen when I heard voices. They were coming from the back patio, voices whispering, Christopher and Jennifer. Something in my instinct told me not to turn on the light, not to make noise. I stood paralyzed by the kitchen door leading to the patio, hidden by the shadows. And if it doesn't work? It was Christopher's voice. It sounded nervous. And if she refuses? She won't refuse. Jennifer's voice was cold, calculating. Nothing to do with the sweet tone she used with me. It's almost done, babe. We just need a few more months. A few more months of what? Of softening her up, of making her feel she needs us, that she is old, that she can't do it alone anymore. I heard the sound of a cigarette lighting. Jennifer smoked in secret. She thought I didn't know. In about 3 months, Max, she continued. We convince her to sign the house over to you, for her own security. Understand? We tell her that if something happens to her, if she falls, if she gets sick, it's going to be a tremendous legal problem, that it's better to have everything in order. My heart began to beat so strong I feared they would hear it. And if she suspects? Asked Christopher. She won't suspect. She is alone. She has only us. And besides, Jennifer let out a giggle. We have already shown her who is boss here. We threw out her things, changed her house, took money from her, and she did nothing. Absolutely nothing. She is weak, Christopher, and the weak always lose. I felt my legs trembling. I leaned against the wall so as not to fall. And then what? My son's voice sounded hesitant. After she signs? After. Jennifer exhaled the smoke. After, we convince her she would be better off in a residence, a nursing home. There are cheap ones near the industrial park, like $4,000 a month, nothing compared to what this property is worth. A nursing home? But Mom? Your mom has lived, Christopher. She had her time. She had her happy marriage with your father. She raised her son. And what about us? Are we going to live our whole lives squeezed in small apartments, paying eternal rent, while she lives alone in this huge house? But she is my mother, and for that very reason we aren't going to leave her on the street. We are going to pay for a home. She will be well taken care of. She will have food, a roof, nurses. Her voice became harder. Christopher, this house is worth minimum $800,000. $800,000. Do you know what we can do with that money? There was silence. A long and heavy silence. We could buy the condo downtown that we saw, Christopher said finally. His voice no longer sounded hesitant. It sounded excited. The 3-bedroom one with the park view? Exactly. And we still have enough left over to start a business, or to invest, or whatever we want. Jennifer threw the cigarette down and crushed it with her foot. Your mom doesn't need this space anymore. We do. We have kids. We have a future. She only has a past. And if she says no? If she doesn't want to sign? Jennifer laughed, a laugh that chilled me to the bone. She won't say no, because by May she will be so worn out, so tired, so emotionally lonely that she will sign whatever just so we don't abandon her. Trust me. I know how these old women work. My grandmother was the same. You just need to break their spirit little by little, and when they have no strength left to fight, they are yours. You're right. Christopher's voice now sounded convinced. My mom has already lived enough. We deserve this house. Those words, my mom has already lived enough. We deserve this house. Coming out of my son's mouth, my only son, the baby I carried for 9 months, the boy I nursed, the teenager I helped with homework until midnight, the young man I supported when no one else believed in him. My son, planning to steal everything from me and put me in a cheap nursing home. I felt something break inside my chest. But it wasn't my heart. It was something deeper. It was the last illusion that my family loved me. Let's go to sleep, said Jennifer. Tomorrow I have to continue the theater of the perfect daughter-in-law. It's costing me work to pretend I like her. They laughed. Together, accomplices. I heard their steps approaching the door. I moved fast, going up the stairs as quietly as I could. I reached my room just as I heard them entering the house. I got into bed, closed my eyes, but I didn't sleep. I wasn't going to sleep peacefully again for a long time, because in that conversation, in those horrible minutes hidden in the dark, the naive Margaret died, and another was born. A Margaret who understood that a mother's love was not enough, that kindness could be a deadly weakness, that my own son was capable of betraying me in the worst possible way. I got out of bed and sat on the edge. My hands were shaking, but my mind was strangely clear. I looked at Robert's photograph on my nightstand. The only one I had left. What do I do, love? I whispered. What would you do if you were here? And then I remembered something. Something Robert told me a week before dying. We were in the hospital. He already knew he wasn't going to make it out of there. Margaret, when I'm not here, people will come who will want to take advantage of you, of your kindness, of your loneliness. And I need you to promise me something. Don't let them turn you into a victim. Fight, even if it is your own blood who attacks you. Fight. At that moment, I didn't understand why he told me that. I thought it was the morphine talking. But now I understood. Robert knew. He knew our son better than I wanted to admit. I got up and went to my closet. In the back, behind the boxes where Jennifer had stored my things, there was a small safe. I opened it with the combination only I knew. Inside were the house documents, the deeds, the will papers, everything. And there was also a business card. Attorney Benjamin Sterling, notary public, Robert's best friend, the lawyer who helped us with all our legal matters for 30 years. I grabbed the card and held it between my fingers. It was 3:15 in the morning, but it didn't matter, because in that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be a victim. I wasn't going to end up in a cheap nursing home while my son and his wife enjoyed my house. I wasn't going to let them erase me. I was going to fight. But I wasn't going to fight screaming. I wasn't going to fight crying. I wasn't going to make dramatic scenes. I was going to fight in silence. I was going to plan. I was going to wait, and when the perfect moment arrived, I was going to shut the door in their faces. Literally and figuratively, I lay down again. This time with a strange sensation of calm, because for the first time in 3 months I had control. They didn't know it yet, but they were going to find out, because while Jennifer and Christopher slept peacefully that night, sure of their perfect plan, I was awake in the dark, transforming. The weak woman they had known was dying, and in her place, someone new was born. Someone who was going to show them that underestimating a 68-year-old woman was the worst mistake of their lives. The next morning I went down for breakfast as always. I put on my floral robe. I made myself a coffee. I made some toast. Jennifer entered the kitchen yawning, in her silk pajamas she had bought with my money. "Good morning, mother-in-law. Sleep well?" I looked at her. I really looked at her. And for the first time I saw what she was. A predator. A woman who had studied every one of my movements, every one of my weaknesses, and had turned them into weapons. But she didn't know that I could learn too. "Very well, daughter. And you?" "Like a log." She poured coffee. "Hey, mother-in-law, I was thinking, what do you think if we start seeing options for residences for seniors? Not to go now, of course. Just to have options. In case one day you need them." There it was, beginning to plant the seed. 2 days ago I would have panicked. I would have asked why. I would have cried. But the Margaret of yesterday died in the darkness of 2:37 a.m. "You know what, Jennifer? You're right. At my age, one never knows. It would be good to be prepared." Her face lit up with surprise and satisfaction. "Really? How good that you take it with maturity, mother-in-law. Most people your age resist these topics." "Well, I am not most people." I smiled, a small smile. One has to be practical. When Jennifer went up to shower, I took out my cell phone and dialed the number on the card. Law Offices of Benjamin Sterling. "Good morning. This is Margaret Sullivan, widow of Evans. I need to schedule an urgent appointment with Mr. Sterling, but let it be in his office, not at my house. And please, let it be today if possible." "One moment, ma'am." Pause. "Mr. Sterling can see you at 4 in the afternoon." "Perfect. I'll be there." I hung up just as Christopher entered the kitchen. "Good morning, Mom. Who were you talking to?" "With the doctor. They reminded me I have an appointment for my routine exams." I lied, with such naturalness that I surprised myself. "Oh, that's good. Want me to go with you?" "No, son. I know you have to work. I can go alone." At 3 in the afternoon, I left the house. I took an Uber to Mr. Sterling's office downtown. The secretary showed me in immediately. The attorney stood up from his desk when he saw me. He was 70 years old, hair completely white, and those eyes that had seen everything. "Mrs. Margaret." He gave me a sincere hug. "How long has it been? Robert would be happy to know you finally sought me out." Finally, he pointed me to a chair and sat in front of me. "Robert asked me to look after you when he was no longer here. He made me promise that if you ever needed legal help, I would be there. 5 years have passed, and this is the first time you call me." He paused. "So tell me, what is happening?" And I told him everything, absolutely everything. The changes in the house, the sold china, the $15,000 for the fake surgery, and finally, the conversation I heard on the patio. The lawyer took notes. His face showed no surprise, only a professional sadness. "Do you have proof of the conversation?" "No, I didn't record it, but I know what I heard. I understand." He put down the pen. "Mrs. Margaret, what your son and daughter-in-law are planning has a name. Aggravated patrimonial dispossession. It is a crime, but we need concrete evidence." "How do I get that evidence?" He leaned back in his chair. "You need a recording, a conversation where their plan is clear, and you need to document everything. The objects they have sold without your permission, the money they have taken from you with deceit, everything. I have bank receipts for the $15,000 and photos of the china before they sold it." "Excellent. That is a start. Now, about the house." He took out a folder and began to explain legal options to me: trusts, living wills, deeds with legal locks. "What I recommend is creating an irrevocable trust. The house remains in your name under legal protection. You can live there as long as you want. And you can designate beneficiaries who only receive the property under specific conditions you establish." "Like what?" "Like the beneficiaries can only receive the house when they reach a certain age, or that they can never sell it, or that if you are committed to a nursing home without your consent, the trust is annulled and the house passes to another person." A spark of hope lit up in my chest. "And my son wouldn't be able to do anything?" "Absolutely nothing. Once the trust is established, not even a judge can modify it without your explicit consent." "How long does it take?" "If you authorize me, I can have the documents ready in a week. But I need you to bring me the original deeds. I have them at home, in a safe." "Perfect. And one more thing, Mrs. Margaret." He leaned forward. "I need you to act normal. Don't raise suspicions. Continue being the same Margaret they know. Because if they suspect you are planning something, they will accelerate their plan. And that complicates things for us." "I understand. Can I do it?" "I know you can. Robert always told me you were much stronger than you appeared. Only you had never had to prove it." I left the office with a folder full of documents, and for the first time in months with something I had forgotten existed: hope. But I also left with a mission. I needed that recording. That night, while we ate dinner, I acted perfectly normal. I smiled. I served the food. I asked about everyone's day. Jennifer looked at me with approval. "You look happy today, mother-in-law. Did something good happen?" "Just that the doctor said I am in very good health for my age. I have years ahead still." I saw her smile freeze for a fraction of a second. Years ahead didn't enter into her plans. "How nice, Grandma, how nice." The next day, I went to visit Patricia, my neighbor. "Patricia, I need your help." "Anything, Margaret." "What do you need?" "I need to learn how to use a recorder, one of those small ones that can be hidden." Patricia asked no questions. She had known me for 30 years. She knew that if I asked for something like that, it was for a good reason. "My grandson gave me one last year because I'm afraid of forgetting things. I've never used it. It's yours." She taught me to operate it. It was the size of a USB stick. It could be hidden anywhere. And it recorded with impressive clarity. "Thank you, friend." "Are you in trouble?" I was in trouble. Now I am in solutions. During the next week, I went 3 more times to the lawyer's office. I brought the deeds. I signed documents. I established the trust. And every night, I left the recorder on in different places in the house. In the living room, in the dining room, on the patio. I recorded conversations of Christopher and Jennifer talking about accelerating the process, about pressuring the old woman more, about how much longer they were going to tolerate living there. And finally, one night, I recorded pure gold. They were in their room. They thought I was already asleep. The recorder was hidden behind a plant in the hallway, right outside their door. Jennifer said with a clear and audible voice, "It's almost done, babe. In a few more months, we convince her to sign the house over to you. She's old, lonely, she needs us. Afterward, we can put her in that cheap nursing home and sell this property. It is worth easily $800,000. That's enough for the condo in the city we want. And Christopher responded, "You're right. My mom has already lived enough. We deserve this house." It was almost identical to the conversation I had heard weeks ago. But now I had it recorded, with the date, with the time, with their unmistakable voices. The next day, I took the recording to Mr. Sterling. He listened to it completely, twice. Then he nodded. "This is sufficient, more than sufficient. What follows? Now we wait. Your trust is ready. The documents are registered. Legally, your house is protected. But I want us to have a moment of maximum impact. A moment where they show their true nature in front of witnesses. How? Provoke them. Do something that forces them to show their true colors. And when they do, I will be there." I thought about it for 2 days. What could I do that would force them to show their plan? And then it occurred to me. On March 14th, during dinner, I said casually, "Christopher, Jennifer, I have been thinking, you are right. At my age, maintaining this house is a lot of work. Maybe I should consider moving to a residence. And you could keep the property." Jennifer's eyes lit up like Christmas trees. "Really? Mother-in-law? Are you serious?" "Completely. In fact, I saw some very nice residences. There is one in Lake Forest that looks lovely." Christopher took my hand. "Mom, it is a very mature decision on your part. I am proud of you. I just need you to help me with the papers. We have to transfer the deed of the house. Mr. Sterling can help us. Do you think we should call him?" "Yes," Jennifer almost shouted with excitement. "Call him tomorrow. In fact, I already spoke with him. He can come Monday, March 15th, at 10 in the morning. "Perfect," said Christopher. "We will be here." That night I heard their celebrations from my room. Champagne, laughter, plans. And I, in my bed, smiled in the dark. Because they thought they had won, they didn't know the real game was just beginning. Monday, March 15th dawned sunny. Jennifer got up early. She dressed as if she were going to a wedding. Christopher put on a suit. Both were electric with excitement. But what they didn't know was that I had changed the locks Sunday night, and that Mr. Sterling wasn't coming to transfer the house to them. He was coming to show them that they had played with the wrong person. Sunday, March 14th at night, after everyone went to sleep, I did something I never thought I would do. I called an emergency locksmith. "Can you come now?" I asked in a low voice from my room. "Ma'am, it's 11 at night. It'll cost triple. I'll pay triple, but it has to be now, and it has to be silent." He arrived at 11:30, a man of about 40 with his toolbox. I explained the situation in whispers. "I need you to change all the locks in the house. The front door, the back door, the garage, all of them. Doesn't your family have keys?" Precisely why I am changing them. He looked at me with those eyes that had seen everything and nodded. "I understand, ma'am. It's not the first time I've been called for something like this." He worked for 2 hours. The sound of his tools was minimal, but every noise put my heart in my throat. I feared Christopher or Jennifer would wake up, but they didn't. At 1:30 in the morning, the locksmith finished. He handed me 4 sets of new keys. "Ready, ma'am. These are the only keys that exist. The previous ones no longer work." I paid him $450 in cash, money I had withdrawn from the bank during the week without anyone knowing. "Thank you. And, please, if anyone asks you, I wasn't here," he winked. "Take care, ma'am. And whatever you are planning, I wish you luck." When he left, I sat in the dark living room, my house, with new locks that only I could open. It was a symbol, an act of resistance. I called Mr. Sterling. "It is done. Perfect. I will arrive tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning, before they wake up. You open the back door for me, as we agreed, and I stay inside until the indicated moment. And if this goes wrong, it won't go wrong, Mrs. Margaret. Trust me, and trust yourself. Tomorrow, you get your life back." That night I slept 3 hours, but not from fear, from anticipation. Monday dawned. Christopher and Jennifer got up early, excited. Jennifer put on a wine-colored dress, heels, perfect makeup. She looked as if she were going to sign a $1 million contract, which in her mind she was. "Good morning, mother-in-law. I am so happy you are taking this decision. It is the best for everyone." Yes, daughter, the best for everyone. Christopher came down in his gray suit, the same one he used for weddings and important events. Mom, have you had breakfast? Want me to make something special? No, son. I already ate something light. Nerves, you know? It is normal to be nervous, but you'll see everything will turn out well. He took my hands. You are going to be in a nice place, with people your age, with medical care 24 hours a day, and we will visit you often. I promise. Lies. All lies. But now I could identify them as if they had a bright label on them. I know, sweetheart. I trust you. At 9 in the morning, Jennifer started getting anxious. What time did you say the lawyer was arriving? At 10. Ah, still some time. She sat down, got up, walked to the window, checked her phone. I am so nervous. Nervous about what? I asked with perfect innocence. Well, about the whole process. It is an important step for you, mother-in-law. At 9:30 the doorbell rang. Jennifer practically jumped off the sofa. He arrived early. How good. I'll open it. But when she reached the door and turned the knob, it didn't open. Grandma? The door is locked. Ah, yes. I put the deadbolt on last night. Coming. I approached slowly. Looked through the peephole. It wasn't Mr. Sterling. It was a neighbor selling cookies. It's not him. It's Mrs. Gable selling cookies. Are you going to open? No, I already have breakfast. Thanks. Jennifer looked at me strangely, but said nothing. At 10 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang again. This time it was the lawyer, but he came accompanied by a younger man with a briefcase. And also coming were Christopher and Jennifer from inside, practically running toward the door. Grandma, open! They're here. But I didn't move. Grandma, what are you doing? Open up. In a moment. In a moment? They are knocking on the door. Christopher approached and tried to open. Turned the knob. Nothing. Tried with his key. It didn't work. Mom? My key doesn't work. Oh, that's right. I forgot to tell you. I changed the locks last night. Silence absolute. What? Jennifer looked at me with eyes wide open. Why would you change the locks? For security? At my age, one never knows. The doorbell kept ringing, now with insistence. Mother-in-law, open the damn door, shouted Jennifer. Don't speak to me like that, Jennifer. Open the door. Christopher tried to calm down. Mom, please. The lawyer is outside. We are going to sign the papers. Remember? Yes, I remember perfectly. And then I didn't open the door. I let them knock and knock and knock. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Jennifer began to lose composure. What is she doing? Did she go crazy? Christopher dialed his cell, probably trying to call the lawyer to apologize. 15 minutes later, the ringing stopped. Jennifer's face was red with fury. We lost the appointment. The lawyer left. Are you happy? Calm down, Jennifer. Everything is under control. Under control? You ruined everything. I didn't ruin anything. In fact, I looked at my watch. Everything is going according to plan. What plan? Christopher looked at me confused. At that moment, I heard the back door open. The steps I knew, dress shoes on the kitchen tiles. Christopher and Jennifer turned around, and there was Mr. Benjamin Sterling, entering from the hallway with his impeccable suit and leather briefcase. Good morning, everyone. Apologies for the delay. Christopher and Jennifer's faces were a poem. Confusion, shock, incipient fear. How? How did you get in? Stammered Jennifer. Through the back door. Mrs. Margaret gave me access a few minutes ago. Christopher looked at me. Mom, what is going on? Sit down. I said with a calm I didn't know I had. It is time we talked. For real. No lies. No lies? Jennifer let out a nervous laugh. We haven't lied to you, mother-in-law. Oh, no? I pulled my small recorder from my sweater pocket. Then explain this. I pressed play. Jennifer's voice filled the room. It's almost done, babe. In a few more months, we convince her to sign the house over to you. She's old, lonely, she needs us. Afterward, we can put her in that cheap nursing home and sell this property. It is worth easily $800,000. Jennifer's face went white as paper. And then Christopher's voice. You're right. My mom has already lived enough. We deserve this house. Christopher collapsed onto the sofa. Literally. His hands were not shaking. I was not shaking. Can you explain to me how I deserve to be in a cheap nursing home while you live in my house? Jennifer regained her composure with impressive speed. She was a survivor, a fighter, but this time she was fighting a lost battle. That recording is illegal. You can't use it. Mr. Sterling intervened with a professional voice. Actually, ma'am, it is completely legal to record conversations on private property when the property owner considers there is intent of fraud or dispossession. And this recording is perfectly admissible in court. There is no fraud, said Jennifer, raising her voice. We take care of her. We keep her company. This house would be empty and sad without us. Take care of me? I laughed, a bitter laugh. Selling my china without permission is taking care of me? Throwing away my late husband's vinyl records is taking care of me? Conning me out of $15,000 with a fake illness is taking care of me? Christopher covered his face with his hands. Mom, please. Please what, Christopher? Please forget that my only son, the boy I gave everything to, planned to throw me away like trash in a nursing home while keeping everything your father and I built? Tears began to roll down my cheeks. But they weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of liberation. For 3 months you made me feel I was crazy, that I was selfish, that I was a bitter old woman who couldn't let go of the past. You made me doubt myself to the point of believing you were right. Jennifer tried to approach. Grandma, we can fix this. Don't touch me. I took a step back. Don't touch me again. Don't call me grandma again as if we were family. Because family doesn't destroy. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't plan to put their own blood in a cheap facility to keep their house. Mr. Sterling opened his briefcase. I think it is time to hand over the official documents. He took out a thick folder and handed it to Christopher, who took it with trembling hands. What is this? Read. Take your time. Christopher opened the folder. Jennifer leaned in to read over his shoulder, and I saw the exact moment they understood, the moment their perfect plan crumbled. But what those papers contained wasn't just a legal blow. It was the end of a game they should never have started. And what I was about to tell them was going to change their lives forever. Christopher read the first page, then the second. His eyes moved faster and faster, with growing panic. Jennifer snatched the papers from his hands. This can't be. This can't be real. It is completely real, said Mr. Sterling, with that professional calm he had perfected in 40 years of career. Certified by a notary public. Registered with the county clerk on March 10th of this year. Completely legal and irrevocable. Irrevocable? Jennifer looked up. What does irrevocable mean? It means it cannot be changed, I responded. It means this house is no longer in my name freely. It is protected in a trust that I control, and you cannot touch it. Christopher dropped the papers to the floor. His face had gone from white to green. Mom, what did you do? What I should have done from the beginning. Protect myself. From you. The attorney continued with a firm voice. The property located at 328 Maple Drive remains under an irrevocable trust in the name of Mrs. Margaret Elizabeth Sullivan. She maintains a life estate, meaning she can live here until her passing. The beneficiaries of the trust are her grandchildren, Noah and Emma, who will receive the property when they turn 25, with the express condition that they can never sell it. It must remain in the family. That is unfair, screamed Jennifer. Christopher is her son. He should inherit. Christopher lost that right when he planned to rob me. We weren't going to rob you. We were going to take care of you in a residence. I pulled another paper from my pocket. I had printed it the night before. Are you referring to the Shady Pines Geriatric Center near the industrial park? The one that costs $4,000 a month and has 1-star ratings on the internet, where complaints talk about rotten food, abuse, and medical negligence? Jennifer opened her mouth. Closed it. She had no answer. I investigated. Jennifer, I investigated everything. I know exactly what kind of place you planned to send me to while you lived in the city. Christopher finally found his voice. It sounded broken, desperate. Mom, please, we are family. We can fix this. I was just scared. About money, about the future. Jennifer pressured me, and I. Now you blame your wife? I interrupted him. Very brave of you, Christopher. Very brave. Jennifer exploded. This was his idea. He was the one who said we deserved the house. He was the one who researched the cheap nursing homes. I just followed his plan. And there it was, the mutual betrayal, destroying each other in front of my eyes. I don't care whose idea it was, I said with a coldness that surprised myself. You both planned it, you both lied to me, you both stole from me. You are both equally guilty. Mr. Sterling took out more documents. Now, let's move to the topic of economic restitution. Mrs. Jennifer, you obtained $15,000 under deception, specifically lying about a serious illness. That constitutes fraud. Mrs. Margaret has two options. Proceed legally with a lawsuit for fraud, or you return the full money within 30 days. I don't have $15,000, squealed Jennifer. I already spent it. Then we will have to proceed legally. Fraud can result in prison time, depending on the penal code. Jennifer turned to Christopher. Say something. Do something. She's your mother. But Christopher was paralyzed. In complete shock, the lawyer continued relentless. Furthermore, there is the issue of the unauthorized sale of private property. The fine china set had an estimated value of $5,000. It was sold without the owner's consent. That is theft. She told me I could sell it, lied Jennifer desperately. I have witnesses who say otherwise, and I have photographs of the china with original dates proving it was Mrs. Margaret's property for 15 years. Jennifer began to pace back and forth like a caged animal. This is a nightmare, a damn nightmare. No, I said with a firm voice. This is justice. Mr. Sterling snapped his briefcase shut with a definitive click. Mrs. Margaret, do you wish to proceed with the legal demands, or do you prefer to give them the option of voluntary restitution? I looked at Christopher. My son, my only son, the boy I had carried in my arms, the teenager I had consoled when his first love left him, the man I had supported in every decision. And I saw what he really was. A coward, a manipulator, a thief. I want them to leave. Mom. Christopher stood up. Please, don't do this. You have 48 hours to get out of this house. You can take your clothes, your electronics, your personal objects, nothing more. Everything else stays here. And where are we going to live? Asked Jennifer with a hysterical voice. We have kids? You should have thought of that before planning to destroy me. I felt the tears accumulating, but I didn't let them fall. You have family, friends, a car, jobs. You will find something, just as you found the way to lie to me for 3 months. Grandma, please, don't call me that. You are no longer my daughter-in-law. And he, I pointed to Christopher, he is no longer my son. Christopher fell to his knees, literally. He knelt in front of me with hands together. Mom, forgive me, please. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. I was desperate. Jennifer pressured me and I didn't think. I didn't measure the consequences. But I love you. You are my mother. You always will be. If you loved me, Christopher, you wouldn't have planned to put me in a home like I was garbage. If you loved me, you would have defended your father's memory instead of letting her throw away everything he and I built. I can change. We can change. Give me a chance. I gave you your chance. I gave you 3 months of chances. Every time you threw something of mine away, every time you lied, every time you made me feel guilty for existing, those were chances, and you wasted them all. I turned to the lawyer. About the $15,000, I give them 30 days to return it. If not, I proceed legally. Jennifer let out a shout of frustration and ran toward the stairs. Christopher remained kneeling, crying like a child. Mom, please. Get up, Christopher. You are not a child. You are a 43-year-old man. It is time you acted like one. He stood up slowly. His eyes were red, swollen. And the kids? Noah and Emma? Will we never see them again? That question hurt me. It hurt deep. I love them, and that is why the house is in a trust for them. But I am not going to let you use them as emotional hostages. Mr. Sterling touched my shoulder gently. Mrs. Margaret, if you need a moment. No, I'm fine. I breathed deep. Christopher, you have until Wednesday, March 17th at 6 p.m. to vacate. If you don't do so voluntarily, the attorney will proceed with the legal eviction. And, believe me, you don't want us to get to that. Christopher nodded weakly. He went up the stairs, dragging his feet. The lawyer and I stayed in the living room. The silence was dense, heavy. "Are you sure about this, Mrs. Margaret? Do you think Robert would be proud of me?" The lawyer smiled with sadness. "Robert would be more than proud. He told me once, if something happens to me, Margaret is going to need time to find her strength. But when she finds it, she will be unstoppable." He was right. The tears finally fell. But they weren't tears of weakness. They were tears of liberation. "Thank you for helping me. It is an honor, Mrs. Margaret." That night, lying in my bed, I heard the movement upstairs. Boxes, suitcases, crying, arguments, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. It wasn't a joyful peace. It was a painful, sad, bittersweet peace. But it was peace. Because for the first time in 3 months, I had taken control of my own life. I looked at Robert's photograph on my nightstand. I did it. Love. I fought, as you asked me, and I swear in that moment I felt his presence, like an invisible hug, like a whisper saying, "I am proud of you, Margaret. I always was." The next day, Patricia came to visit me. She brought coffee cake and pastries. "How do you feel?" "Like I survived a war." "You survived, friend. And you won." "It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like loss. Because you love your son, and that is never going to change." She took my hand. "But sometimes, loving means letting go. It means setting boundaries. It means saying, 'I love you, but I will not allow you to destroy me.'" She was right. On Tuesday, Emma came down to the kitchen, alone. She had red eyes from crying so much. "Grandma, can I talk to you?" "Of course, my darling. Sit down." She sat, and for a long moment said nothing, just looked at her hands. "I knew," she whispered finally. "What did you know, my love?" "I knew what my parents were planning. I heard conversations. I saw how they treated your things. And I said nothing." Tears started to fall. "Forgive me, Grandma. I should have told you. I should have defended you. But I was afraid my parents would get mad at me." I hugged her tight. "You are not to blame, Emma. You are a child. It is not your responsibility to fix the mistakes of adults. But I feel so bad. I know. Me too. But I want you to know something." I took her face so she would look at me. "This house is going to be yours and your brother's someday. And when that happens, I want you to remember. Dignity is worth more than any property. Respect is worth more than any inheritance. And true love never destroys." Emma hugged me so tight I could almost not breathe. "I love you, Grandma. A lot. And I love you, my darling. Always." Wednesday, March 17th at 5 in the afternoon. A moving truck parked in front of the house. Christopher and Jennifer loaded their things in silence. The kids were sad, confused. Noah hugged me before getting into the car. "Are we not going to see you anymore, Grandma?" "Of course you are going to see me. When you want to visit me, just call. This is your house as much as mine." At 10 to 6, Christopher approached. He had an envelope in his hand. "It's $3,000. It's all I could gather. The rest I will pay you little by little. I swear." "Mom," I took the envelope. "You have 30 days to complete the 15,000. Not a day more." "I know." He lowered his gaze. "Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what we did was unforgivable, but I want you to know that I regret it. Truly. I know, Christopher, but regretting it doesn't erase the damage. Regretting it doesn't return the memories you destroyed. Regretting it doesn't erase the words you said. I know." His voice broke. "Someday, will you ever be able to forgive me?" I looked him in the eyes. "My son, my traitor. I don't know. Maybe. With time. With a lot of time. But for now I need you to leave. I need to heal, and I can't do it with you here." He nodded. A tear rolled down his cheek. "Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Christopher." He got in the car. Jennifer didn't even look at me. She started the engine with a screech of tires, and they left. I stayed standing in the entrance of my house, watching the car disappear around the corner. Patricia appeared at my side. "Are you okay?" "No, but I will be." That night I ate dinner alone in my dining room. But it wasn't a sad dinner. I made lasagna, just how my mother taught me. I put on music, Robert's big band records, the ones I had downloaded on my phone because Jennifer had thrown away the originals. And while I ate, I looked at my house. The walls were still gray, but I could paint them again. The curtains were still missing, but I could sew new ones. The memories had been destroyed, but I could create others, because that is what strong women do. We don't give up, we don't break, we rebuild. Epilogue. 3 months later. It was June. The hydrangeas on my street were in bloom, filling the air with that purple color Robert loved so much. I had repainted the walls, peach, again. I had sewn new curtains with embroidered flowers. I had put photographs of Robert all over the house. And something else. I had begun to survive. I took painting classes at the community center. I met other women my age, women with similar stories, women who had also survived family betrayals. We became friends. We supported each other. We reminded each other that we were more than mothers, more than wives, more than caregivers. We were ourselves. One afternoon in June, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Grandma? It was Emma. My darling, how are you? Good. Well, not so good. Mom and Dad got divorced. My heart stopped. What? Mom left. She said she didn't want to be with Dad anymore, that he had betrayed her, that everything was his fault. She left with another man, one she met at the gym. Her voice broke. And we are living in a horrible apartment in the city with Dad. It's tiny, dark, smells bad. Oh, my love. But I'm not calling to ask you to take us back. I know we can't come back. Just wanted to hear your voice and tell you that you were right. About everything. Grandma, Mom never loved us, did she? She just wanted the money, the house. And Dad. Dad was very stupid, very weak. She cried. I miss you, Grandma, a lot. I miss you too, my darling. Every day. Can I come visit you? Someday? You can come whenever you want. This was always your house. Thank you, Grandma. I love you. And I love you, my love. Always. I hung up and stared at the phone for a long time. Jennifer had left. Like snakes, she had found another victim, another plan, another opportunity. And Christopher was paying the consequences of his decisions. I didn't feel joy, but I didn't feel guilt either. I felt acceptance. Sometimes, life teaches us the hard way, and sometimes people have to lose everything to understand the value of what they had. That night, sitting on my patio under the stars, drinking chamomile tea, I reflected on everything that had happened. I had lost my son, at least temporarily, but I had gained something more valuable. Myself. Because I learned that love without respect is not love. It is slavery. I learned that true family doesn't destroy you. It builds you. I learned that at 68, you still have the right to defend your dignity. And I learned that it is never too late to say, enough. Because true wealth isn't in what you possess. It is in what you don't allow them to take away. Your dignity, your peace, your right to live without fear in your own home. And that is priceless. And so ends my story. A story I never thought I would live. A story that broke my heart but also gave me strength I didn't know I had. If this story touched your soul, if it made you reflect on your own limits, on your own family, on your own dignity, let me know in the comments. Tell me, where are you watching this story from? What city or state are you joining me from? I would love to know that these words reached your heart, no matter where you are. And if you know someone who is going through something similar, share this story. Because sometimes, knowing we aren't alone is what gives us the courage to fight. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of life, of overcoming, of women who refuse to be victims. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to live with dignity, we all deserve to be treated with respect, and we all deserve to close doors that hurt us, even if they are the doors of our own family. Thank you for joining me until the end. See you in the next story. With love, Margaret.